Back to this episode of Think Business. Looking forward to talking to CEO Kelley Thornton with Tiege Hanley, CEO of Tiege Hanley. Kelley, it's great to connect with you. You guys specialize in men's skincare. If somebody goes to the website tiege.com, you see uncomplicated skincare for men. We get you. We are you. I want to start there because I'm a business coach, and one of the things I think I do well, I think my clients tell me I do really well, is that I break things down to the simple and to the uncomplicated. Sometimes so simple, it is complicated. So I kind of want to start there a little bit because I think sometimes we complicate things, and I like doing things in systems and thinking things in steps and methodologies. You sent me your products, and what I loved about it was it came with a little card that said, step 1, use this. Step 2, use this. Came in capitalized in bigger letters to make sure you use the right thing. I mean, it just was uncomplicated.
Right.
So let's start there on the philosophy of simplicity and uncomplicated.
Yeah. I like how you phrase that question, John, because our concept is to provide uncomplicated skincare for men. So in its simplest form, just tell guys what they need to look and feel amazing every day, put it in a box and send it to them every month. And to help them, no matter where they are in their skincare journey, have the best possible skin, look and feel the best they can about themselves when they get up in the morning, go to work or whatever they're doing with their life, go to school, go out to play golf. They look and feel the best they can.
Yeah.
But it is not simple to be uncomplicated. To do anything in its simplest form is usually the absence of a lot of complication. So we actually not only try to create this simplified skincare solutions for men, but to have the ethos of our business be uncomplicated.
Yeah.
And that can be manifested in a lot of different ways.
Yeah. So I want to get back to that, but because you talked about, look and feel amazing when they do this, when you do this, when they golf. So I'm a golfer. So I want to kind of touch on this because one of the things that I think can be deceiving, and one of the things I love about your company is right on your homepage, it talks about we fight skin cancer. Yep. And I know that when I play golf, I get nervous about that because you're outside. I feel like I'm always putting sunscreen on. I'm a cancer survivor of 20 years. So I'm very sensitive to it. And I like that you're sensitive to it. So just kind of talk a little bit about that before we continue to dive in the uncomplicated, how to prevent something like this.
Yeah. I'm grateful for you to hone in on that because we talk a lot about the importance of men taking care of their skin and preventing skin cancer. Where that came from Tiege Hanley's perspective is one of my business partners, Rob Hoxie. Him and I went to high school together. We met washing dishes in a restaurant. And his father passed away in his 50s, around my current age now, from skin melanoma. Yeah. So what we know is this: we know that melanoma is and skin cancer is the number one form of skin cancer. We also know it's the most preventable, and it's actually also the most prevalent amongst men because we are, in my words, no one else's, we very guerrilla style about how we take care of ourselves. We don't spend the extra 1 or 2 minutes a day, or when we're going out on the golf course, like it is literally no time to put a little bit of sun protection, on your neck, your ears, guy like me, at the top of my head, even if I'm wearing a hat, and on my face. So these are critical things that if we don't, if we treat ourselves with a little bit more kindness, we can prevent skin cancer very easily.
Yeah, I love it. Thanks. All right. I just want to give that a little plug. And I think a lot of times, people are looking, if they're going to, purchase products, they want to know what that company is doing for the world. When they're interviewing with companies, they want to know what they're doing to make a difference. And so I just wanted to kind of highlight that. All right, let's go back now to getting to simple, right? I think it was Mark Twain who said, or Winston Churchill, I can't think off the top of my head, if I had more time, I would have written a shorter speech. And so it does take time. And so take me into the boardroom of you and your business partners and what that, that formula was to get to simple.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if it's necessarily a formula as it is a culture, right? So it is about constantly reminding ourselves why and we have the luxury to do this because of the size of our company. I consider ourselves a growth size company. So we're way beyond, kind of proving a concept. And we see ourselves having lots of runway. We're kind of a teenage size in 20 million kind of revenue range. But I think it's like, it is really about living a culture of understanding that nothing we're doing as a business, we shouldn't be doing anything at all as a business that is not solely focused on our business objectives. So what exactly do I mean by that? It could be as simple as something, and we say this all the time to our teams, that if you're in a meeting and you feel like you're not being productive, and we used to not have any computers in our meetings. Since COVID, that kind of went away. But if you're in a meeting, you're not being productive, we ask you to excuse yourself and just leave the meeting and go. Don't sit in a meeting where you're on your computer banging out email and you're doing 4 things because you think you have to be in the meeting. That is being complicated. Yeah. So like little things like that. But we think about it in terms of how we communicate with our customers, and definitely how we manage our supply chain on the outbound side, how we manage things with our customers every day, our shipping our product to them. We're direct to consumer business. What we put in the boxes, not overcomplicating messages, not making things more complicated and more onerous on our supply chain, on our operations people. So we think about this every day, how we structure meetings, how long we have meetings, how we walk away from meetings. All of these things are all driven by our ethos of trying to be uncomplicated or simple in our approach.
I love that. One of the things as a business coach, I'm coaching, solopreneurs to Fortune companies, everything in between. But one of the things I talk a lot about is time, because and when I throw this out, it kind of, people pause for a minute. If you can save 4 minutes a day, that's 24 hours a year. So everybody is running around talking about how busy they are. But if you can figure out how to take, shave 16 minutes off of your day, then you get about 100 hours back. And so I love that you're talking about, being able to, I just want to highlight this thing, community, because I think this is really important, because a lot of, owners of companies, C-level execs, managers are listening to this show, salespeople who run teams. It's really, really important to articulate that, to make that part of the culture. It's not that it's disrespectful or it's rude, but you have to articulate, make your meetings shorter, make them more productive, have agendas. And if people only are responsible for 2 minutes of the meeting, let them leave so they can go do more productive, high potential tasks. So I think it's great. I just wanted to kind of highlight that for a minute. Yeah. I want to talk about your teams for a minute. Are you, sure. Are people in your office? Are they hybrid? Where are you as a company right now? And how do you manage,
Yeah, I mean, I think we've had the luxury based on our size, but I think we've been ahead of the curve for the last couple of years. We were in the office a lot during COVID. I brought everybody back in a hybrid schedule pretty early. And, we were very careful about it. We had like certain days of the week, certain people would be here, certain days of the week, other people would be here. And then we moved into like a fully hybrid, like very early, like over, well over a year, I shouldn't say well over a year ago, but about, somewhere around this time last year. So we do have a 3-day in, 2-day out. There are some weeks that we require everybody in the meeting in the office. And when we have like quarterly meetings and we have people from outside, we do have a few people that are agile, that do not work full-time in the office. When they're in, we require everybody to be in the office. Right now, it's usually everybody is out of the office on Friday. And that kind of stemmed from summer hours. We have summer hours on Fridays from Memorial Day to Labor Day. And so we kind of continued with Friday being the one day. And then depending upon the team that you're on, Monday through Thursday is your other day. At first, it was very difficult. We just kind of had a difficult time managing, when people are out, but it's very fluid right now. And I think, it's, if anything, I don't think we're going to, we're not going to extend hybrid. We're going to be in the office more. So maybe just one day versus 2 days a week. But right now we're seeing a lot of success with the hybrid model.
Yeah. What's the hardest part of, and I appreciate you sharing that it was hard. What was the hardest part of it? And then how did you evolve your management skills to kind of, find that middle space?
Well, I think here's what I said early on to everybody: with great, with great flexibility comes a greater accountability. And I made it very clear early on that I'm willing to be as flexible as I possibly can, but in exchange for that flexibility, there's going to be higher accountability. So, and that means, people, and I mean, we've always had a very accountable culture. And the way we structure our business, we have a high level of accountability. And the way we do that is by being very vocal, broadly within the company about what people's objectives are for the quarter and how well they do. We're very public about it, and everybody knows that we're very public about it. So there's a high degree of accountability when you're not in the office to make sure that things get done, that you are available when you're needed, at 5:30 on the day that you're not in the office, or early in the morning for calls. So this is how we deal with it. And I think it's been received and accepted very, very well.
Good.
We also do one more thing. I'm sorry, Jon.
No,
I want to tell you one other thing I think is interesting. I was just talking about it with a new very highly compensated C-suite model that we brought on yesterday. We brought on recently. I was speaking to him about it yesterday. Is that we do have in our contract our agreement with our employees that we will not tolerate. It's not that we won't permit it, but we won't tolerate any type of freelance work amongst our employees unless it's approved upon. So we actually agree that we will allow it to a certain degree if the manager approves it, but the company needs to know. And if it's going on and the company doesn't know about it, it'll be immediate terms for termination. So I think, again, we're trying to signal that we are flexible as an organization. We know that people have other things that are going on outside their lives, and we're going to be tolerant of it to a certain extent. Yeah,
good. I love that. I learned a long time ago, accountability without authority equals nothing. So important to kind of have that. So, so I love the culture. I love what you're talking about, getting the right people, setting the right, communication internally amongst people to give them freedom with, some type of, what's the word I'm looking for? Freedom to do what they want, just be open and communicative about it. So when you have the right people, then you can scale.
Yes.
And you've scaled your business to 8 figures in 2 years.
Yes.
So as a business coach, one of the things I talk about when I'm talking to salespeople, I typically say, hey, if you work with me, I'll help you add a comma to your business, right? So you'll go from 1 comma to 2 commas. If the company already has 2 commas, I say, okay, well, then we'll go from 7 figures to 8 figures.
Yeah.
Right. So let's talk about that, because to scale a men's grooming brand in 8 figures in 2 years, it's a great accomplishment. And I'd love to hear about, before we even dive in, the courage to enter the space.
Yes.
Like, you can go to, I don't even know if, I bet certain generations don't even know what I mean when I say drugstore, right? Anymore. But you can go to typically a Walgreens or a drugstore, and there's just so many brands out there of products. And you can go to Amazon or Google, and there's so many brands. So some people may say, well, I have this idea, in this case, men's skincare, but there's so much competition out there. I'm not even going to jump in. So I really want to start there. So So, because the law of proximity to talk 8 figures is too far for the listener right now.
Yeah.
So take me to the courage, take the Think community on the courage to even enter the market.
Yeah. Well, I'll speak generically, Jon, because I think I think in any market, there's an opportunity for a disruptor, and there's an opportunity for someone who's thinking about a marketplace slightly different than the competition. And no matter what market you're in, even if there's not a significant amount of competition, if you enter that market and you have any level of success, there will be competition, significant competition. So to be very focused on, entering a crowded market space or to have the idea of entering into a crowded market space as being something that feels too daunting to you, I think you should, do your best to get over it. The question is how can you do things just a little bit better than somebody else? And I think that's the minimum bar, is to do things just a little bit better than everybody else. If you can execute and you can work at a high level in any industry, in any competitive industry where you're doing things just a little bit better, you'll be better than the majority of the competition. How do you do things? How are you great at doing things? And how do you not just how do you become great at doing things, but how do you become great at multiple things within your business that makes you better than everybody else? So I think doing something that's disruptive and is a unique way of approaching a marketplace, regardless of how crowded, and then doing things just a little bit better are like the first couple things that you've got to get your head wrapped around.
Yeah, I love that, because it is just a little bit better.
Yes.
I posted something on social media today, and it was 5 ways to add a comma to your income, right?
Yeah.
And number 5 was follow up better than anyone in your industry, because I think if you can figure out a way to do that, you're golden. You're golden.
And that is exactly, you're spot on. That's exactly what I'm talking about.
How you do one thing is how you do everything. You were going to be on my show, so your assistant, I'm assuming it was your assistant, somebody on your team, sent me the products, and then they followed up twice to see if I got the products, right? Which they didn't need to. The podcast group that you're working with, they're incredible. I'm not sure which group you're working with, but their follow up is great. I noticed those things, and you're right. It is just a little bit better. I recently interviewed 12 juniors and seniors from the University of Michigan in the Entrepreneurial Club, and they all have these businesses. Some have already sold businesses, but they are, Think community, listen up to this. If you haven't watched them, they're worth going back to watch. They're looking at industries and they're saying, how can that be a little bit better and more effective? How can that be a little bit? And then they're starting these businesses. I think a lot of them, this isn't a negative to them. You still have to learn the operations of the behind the scenes of a business, but their ideas and the lens that they're looking at is just that. It's nothing massive. It's a lot of the little things, and those make a big difference. So I appreciate the uncomplicated response.
Yeah, thank you. Unfortunately, you have to, I don't want to make it easier than it sounds. You have to be a little bit better at multiple things across the business. You can't be just better at, we're just like a little bit better at marketing. Your product has to be a little bit better. Your execution needs be a little bit better. Your operations need to be a little bit better. You have to be a little bit smarter, and certainly better at, on the cash side of things and the finance side of things. But if you're just a little bit better across the whole board, you could definitely have a very successful business.
Yeah. I love it. Yeah. And so, I always look at it. It's like, you can look at an industry, you can look at a certain business, you can look at a certain product. It has kind of a certain frequency to it.
Right.
It has a certain vibration, and sometimes it doesn't match the current frequency or vibration of the market that they're actually targeting or need to or will target. And if you can just kind of see, like a lot of entrepreneurs, I feel like you're this way, I'm this way, you can see it and then you can just build it. So it's great. So I love what you're talking about. So now let's talk about, okay, so you step into the arena, you have the courage to enter into the market. Yes. Now, let's fast forward a little bit. How do you then scale to, seven figures, and then from 7 to 8.
Yeah. And every 10 million you go is harder and harder and harder,
Yep.
and has different levels of challenges. I'm sure, John, you probably posted on this, within the last weeks or two, the skill set you need, to go from, 0 to 1 million, and then, 1 million to 5 million, or at least 1 million to 5 million, and 5 million to 10 million, 10 to 15, and to 20. There's like slightly different skill sets you need for each one of those plateaus.
Right.
And so, then I would say, you'd start with something that Darwin say it's not the smartest or the brightest, or the strongest that are most likely to succeed, but those that can adapt. And so I would say, like, adapting through these different challenges and these different plateaus, and trying to, while adapting, but while still trying to stay focused on what got you there. That would be kind of, I think, what helps you get from one plateau to the next. Understanding that along the way, and unfortunately, and this is a tough part, is most of the time the people that get you from one plateau to the next, may not be the same group of people that are going to get you to the next plateau, because their skill sets change, and your needs as a business changes. So that's, our ability to adapt and change, but while at the same time staying focused on our business, and not making too dumb decisions, making a few, but not too many.
Yeah. When you're saying that, I'm thinking about, mentors you grow out of, or, things of that nature. And so I kind of want to rewind, go back maybe a little bit further, kind of the, high school or before days. What got you here, right? Success is never a straight line, but there's sometimes seeds that are planted early in our lives, and mentors that kind of come, whether it's for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. But in this case, let's talk about maybe ones that came for a reason, to help guide you on your kind of entrepreneurial, business lineage. So what was planted early on that would kind of, showcase how you got to today?
Yeah. So, well, I'll two things, one short one and then one little bit of a story. I think I was always kind of hardwired towards, running and starting and running a business. I was always very interested in, certain people are, and certain people aren't. Certain people are drawn to the idea of starting and building something, and kind of having a little bit of control over your own destiny or not. I was kind of one of those people. But right when I started my second business, this was would have been in the fall. I started in 2009. This was my second business. This was the fall or early winter of 2008. I had lunch with someone I admired tremendously. Not only was he a friend of mine for the previous 5 years, but he was a very successful businessman. I had this great idea about my second business. And I said, can I buy you a great lunch? We went to a great restaurant in downtown Chicago. We had a great lunch. It was excellent. I told him my whole business plan. He had invested in hundreds of businesses. Like I said, it was very successful by all measurement. And after that lunch, standing outside, I remember it was a cold day, but it was very sunny. And I said to him, hey, I've told you everything about my business. What do you think? And he goes, yeah, it sounds pretty good. I really don't know too much about the space that you're talking about. But let me tell you something, Kelley. It all comes down to execution. And I think those words just landed so hard, because I think, he was just being honest and saying, the idea sounds pretty good. Can't really comment on how good it is or how good it isn't. But if you are really good at executing, you could probably be pretty successful in it.
Yeah.
So I think like those type of like moments would like really kind of solidify some of my thought process about running a business.
Yeah. I love it. I love it.
I was a bit disappointed, by the way.
You what?
I was a bit disappointed with the answer at the time. It did.
Yeah. Well, you probably
wasn't immediate enough for me.
Yeah. Yeah. But you know what? Again, it's pretty uncomplicated.
Yeah. Truthful.
If you go, but I'll share kind of a story. When I was in commercial real estate, I always wanted to be a business coach since I was 18 years old. My dad gave me a set of tape sets by Brian Tracy, and he said, "Jonathan, I think you'll be more successful listening to people like this than you will college." And I became obsessed, and I knew I wanted to write books and coach and grow companies. So I graduated college, started an internet company, sold it, got into commercial real estate for 6 years, and then took over my office. And then I was ready after 6 years of running my office to start my own business. And so I went and met with this attorney that my business coach sent me to for advice. And so we talked, and I couldn't even really tell you much of what we talked about, other than I was like, telling him everything, and he was giving me some advice. But as I was leaving, he said to me, "John, I'm going to tell you this. If you do not," because I was thinking I wanted to start my own business, this business. He said, "If you do nothing, you'll regret it for the rest of your life." And
Boom.
and so that to me, just the simplicity of focusing on the idea of regret was enough for me to make my decision. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. All right, let's do a quick speed round.
Sure.
Tell the Think community a book or a TED Talk, whatever works, had the biggest impact on you.
I just wrote a book on culture called The Culture Code.
Oh yeah, how was that book?
Phenomenal.
Was it good?
Phenomenal.
Okay.
It was one of the best books I've read in a long time. Like this concept of culture, is really, I thought I was dialed into it. And by the way, it's not about having dogs in the office and like serving, great coffee and that kind of shit. It is not that at all. It isn't about us going out and having beers after the hours. That's not what it's about. It's about the psychology of getting everybody on the same team and what that team looks like and how you build really great, really great teams and really great culture within those teams. That book was awesome.
Oh, I'm going to check it out. Yeah, I haven't read it, but it sounds like something I would like. Best piece of wisdom you've ever received?
Don't take yourself too seriously.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah. I mean, I remember being with the president of the company, and I was with about $100 million company. I was the only guy in Chicago. So it was a big deal to be with the owner of the company. Very, very, very big deal. It was, early 90s in Chicago, making a sales pitch, round table, just him and I, probably 6 or 8 customers in front of us. And I was failing miserably. And he just he was sitting next to me, jotted a little note and slid it over to me. Everybody in the whole place saw it. And I opened it up and it just said "smile" on it. And he took all the anxiety I had out of the room with that note. So, don't take yourself too seriously.
Yeah.
Everything's going to be okay.
All right, good. Great. I love it. Last question, finish the sentence. One thing that everybody can do to make something in their life uncomplicated.
Get more sleep.
That's a good one. That's another topic. Tell everybody who your ideal clients are, where they can buy your products, and all that other good stuff, Kelley.
Yeah. I mean, any man that's thinking about their self-care. So any man that's embarking on, have looked at themselves in the mirror and said, I probably need a bit of change in my life. I need to, fill in the blank, lose some weight, find a new partner, get a job that I love, or move to California. Any man that's thinking about improving their life and is thinking about their self-care needs to take care of their skin. They need to, put a moisturizer on every day, wash their face with something high quality, use an exfoliant once in a while. And we make it simple for them, no matter where they are on their journey. If they're looking for anti-aging, we can help them there too. So anybody that's thinking about taking care of themselves and getting to the next level, they should be considering Tiege Hanley as a product that could help them do it.
It's great. Well, you sent me the stuff, and I've been using it for about a week, and it's great.
Thanks.
It's great.
Yeah.
It's easy to use. Smells great. Doesn't really have a smell.
Exactly.
It's great. It's great. So I
thank you, John. And your skin looks amazing, by the way. And it's fine for a man to compliment another man.
Yeah. Well,
your skin looks amazing.
Thanks. And maybe it's the lighting too.
Could be, but doesn't matter. Just take it.
Well, I appreciate it. I have been using your product. So there we go.
Thank you very much.
Well, I think community, first of all, Kelley, thanks so much for being on the show. I think it's great. I love having guests on the show because I'm a business coach. I work with successful people who are stuck. I get them unstuck, and guests on this show help me get people unstuck in business. And we talked about a lot of stuff. You shared a lot of things. I'm going to simplify it for the kind of the through line of this talk was, whatever you're doing, think community, figure out how you need to make something less complicated, right? The more uncomplicated things are and the simpler things are, the easier it is. As a business coach, I was talking to a client earlier today, and we were talking about what they thought was a very complicated topic. I broke it down to the simple, and they said to me, God, you made that sound so easy. I said, because it is easy. And I think sometimes it's easy to see when you're on my side of the chair, how simple things can be. And so figure out, think community, what you need to simplify. And if Kelley's products can help you, check them out. I'm going to give you the website. It is tiege.com. And you can reach me at jondwoskin.com. Kelley, thanks. This was great. Thank you
very much for having me. Yeah. You know what? Bree just sent me a note. It's tiege.com /think business for 30% off.
Oh, there you
go.
So
we got a killer. That is probably our best offer. Okay. So tiege.com /think business, 30% off.
All right, good.
Phenomenal.
All right, good. Well, thank you for that. Thanks for everything you guys do to prevent cancer as well. I just want to highlight that again. Thanks for the products. Think community. Thank you, Kelley. This was great. Thanks so much.
Thanks, John. Appreciate you having me. Have a good day.